Welcome back to Behind the Bus. I'm your host, Angus. Joining me in the chair right now, she's just come off from performing. It's the wonderfully talented Ruby Archer. How are you today, Ruby?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's so good to meet you. I got to say before we start, you just look so cool. You have the unique vibe about you, and I love the unique vibe when you're playing as well. What got you into kind of playing music and performing?
Well, my family's always been really musical. My dad was in a band and he still is, and my sister's always been into music and I've just been surrounded by it my whole life, so it's hard not to become a musician.
Absolutely, that's profession by association at its finest, I gotta say. So when did you start learning to play the keyboard and how long have you been doing it for?
I started learning piano when I was quite young, but I got really into jazz in about year 7 and, learning all the really cool stuff about chords and how music works together is really cool, and that's what sort of got me into writing my own songs with those cool chords and just experimenting, yeah.
And so you said you write original music and you got an EP in the works, do you?
Yes, I've been recording with Jack Nigro from Grove Studios, who's a legend of a producer. And yeah, we've recorded most of the songs. The EP should be coming out in a few months, but yeah, keep an eye out for it. It'll be called Chamomile Tea. Yeah.
Chamomile Tea, what's the reasoning and inspiration behind that name?
Oh, honestly, just the drink chamomile tea got me through so much crap. And one of the songs is also called Chamomile Tea, and it's just, for aesthetic purposes, I thought it was pretty cute as well. Yeah.
And speaking of aesthetics, how would you describe your kind of style of music?
Ooh. See, every time I get asked this, I never know what to say, because obviously I take a lot from jazz, but I take a lot from rock. I really like to write some empowering songs as well. So I don't know, just really expressive music is sort of my thing. Yeah, that's the best way I could put it.
Yeah, that's really cool. And apart from MetroFest, obviously we've had a lot of stuff ruined by COVID in the last year or so. But apart from MetroFest, what other gigs and where else have you performed?
My gigging has sort of been pretty much just like little cafes and stuff, but when I release my music, I'd love to get a band behind me, and I'll be performing at Lincoln Pin and Woy Woy hopefully soon, and tomorrow night actually at what was it called? I think it's with the Similar People, but yeah, tomorrow night as well, and just keep an eye out for it. Yeah, hopefully I'll be doing more gigs with a band, so yeah.
Yeah, well, that's awesome. We'll definitely keep an eye on you. Now, being at MetroFest, an outdoor little festival like this, what have you enjoyed about it so far, and what other bands have you kind of looked at?
Yeah, it's been really cool and such a good vibe. I love the other bands. It's so good that we can support other coasty musicians, because it's a pretty small community of us. But Shacked and Turtle Custard, they're mad, dude. They're so good. And their vibes are so cool and they're so fun. So it's great to be surrounded by other musicians like that, yeah.
Yeah, you watching at home, you can probably hear Shacked playing behind us right now. Like she said, they are wild. They are absolutely wild, and they'll be on again soon on this show. But who would you say would be your biggest inspirations when it comes to music?
Jeff Buckley, definitely. Oh God, I can't even explain, because he's been in my life throughout my entire childhood, and I've only now started to recognize the talent and the beauty in his music, and it's also intricate and amazing, and his voice, and I don't know, I try to take a lot from his music, because it's exactly pretty much what I want to create, but my own version, yeah, because it's just so expressive and pure and authentic, yeah.
Yeah, I've always found out about Jeff, so raw and emotional and real, isn't it? Now, speaking of your own music, I've asked this question to all the artists we've had on this segment, but it might be a bit difficult to answer, because I know a lot of artists consider their songs to be like their babies, but do you have a personal favourite of yours to perform live?
I really like to perform Purple Fatigue, which was the sort of intense, angry one, because it's just so fun. And there's this one section where I just let loose, and I don't really do that in many of my songs, but it almost brought into a different genre into my music, and it's so fun because it's a little bit out of my comfort zone, but it's also just really really fun to just express myself in that way. Yeah.
And one last question before you go. If you do make it big, or even at the point you are at now, what sort of advice would you give to kind of younger musicians who are looking to start gigging, start playing music, start just performing? What advice would you give to those sorts of people?
Well, if you're struggling to create your own music, just draw from your influences and find out what you like and what you would like to implement from that into your own music. When it comes to gigging, just make as many connections as you can, and really take every opportunity as much as possible, because that's how you end up going places. Not that I've been places yet, but hopefully if I take my own advice I will. So yeah, that's my advice to others though.
Yeah, well, that's awesome. Thank you very much for coming on this segment, and thank you so much for performing here at MetroFest. You've been an absolute pleasure. Ruby Archer, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you so much.